G Dimer's long-awaited return is now. I have come back to lead, to coach, to mentor, and to push the Marshall University football program to new heights. In this series, you'll see gameplay, you'll see recruiting, you'll see interactions with players from me directly. You will see it all. I'm going to be changing the culture around this football program. I need you guys to comment below before I start what you are more interested in before this dynasty. Is it the recruiting aspect? Is it the gameplay aspect? Is it me? Do you want to see more of me in this video? Let me know at the end of the video so I can take that feedback and adjust accordingly, like any great coach does. Shout out to my friend Alex for helping me edit some of this video. Shout out to all of you guys watching. Shout out to all of my followers across all of my social media platforms. Make sure you guys leave a comment so I can interact with every single one of you. I will be responding to all of the comments. And here we go into G Dimer's coaching journey. Huntington is a city located in the southwestern region of West Virginia. Even though the city does not have the best reputation, it is still rich in culture and history. The city's primary claim to fame is that it is the home of Marshall University. The football program has seen some pretty rough years, so they've enlisted the help of Coach G Dimer to come in, recruit some new players, and turn this thing around. Historically speaking, the team has not been very good. We'll call them average, with about 20 more losses than wins in their 47 seasons of play. When creating my coach, I decided to go with tactician. A lot of content creators chose recruiter, but I went against this, wanted to do my own thing, and I feel like tactician really suits my playstyle more. I'm more focused on the gameplay rather than the recruiting, but I'll still have a heavy emphasis on getting prospects onto my squad. After inking my first contract, I went to the My School tab. I wanted to check the grades of my university. This tool will definitely help me track my progress season to season. That leads us to one of the most important parts of the Dynasty game mode, recruiting. Now, I'm not extremely familiar with the recruiting setup and kind of just how the interface works for this new game, so you'll get to see throughout this series how much more familiar, comfortable, and just better at recruiting I become using this interface game to game. Between the game highlights, I'll kind of showcase what kind of prospects I'm going for, how I pursue them, and overall how I become more acclimated to the recruiting process. With all this being said, I was on to my very first game as head coach of the Marshall Thundering Herd. Keep in mind, I'm playing all of these games on Heisman difficulty, and my first matchup to open the season is against FCS Southeast. I was pretty excited to get this rolling, as it was going to be one of the first games I played on CFB 25. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'll just show you guys the big highlights from this game. It was a pretty exciting one, especially for my first matchup. Going down 14-3 against the FCS school showed me that Heisman difficulty was no joke. I was in for a long game. Here we are scoring our first touchdown under the new coach, myself. That would make it a 4-point game. Believe it or not, this score would stick until the fourth. With a minute 27 left, I sent everybody across the field on slants and was able to secure the touchdown catch to take a 3-point lead. And shortly after, we would have my favorite play of the whole game, this clutch pick six. Took it back to the house late in the fourth to keep off the comeback. It felt really good to start the season 1-0, but seeing how hard this win was, I knew I had my work cut out for me as far as rebuilding the squad. After the game, I received my XP and I hit level 3. I ended up spending these coaching points on my tactician coaching tree. I really wanted to upgrade this area first because I know how important these boosts can be on such high difficulty. I checked back into my recruiting, offered a scholarship or two, sent some DMs, and once that was said and done, I loaded up into my next game against Virginia Tech. I was super excited for this one because I had a chance to get a pretty big win and start the season off 2-0. Jumping into the highlights of game 2, I call stick. My quarterback must read a lot of comic books because instead of the square icon, he saw a giant question mark on this dude's dome. I understand the stadium difficulty, but playing in a hard environment shouldn't make my receiver think he's the Riddler. Back to the clip though, there's a reason they call me G Dimer, and it's because I throw dots. I put this one over top of the defense, right in the breadbasket, secured the huge touchdown to even up the game in the first quarter. Soon after, I'd come up big with the defensive stop, and it was time for a punt return. And on special teams, we make special plays with special players. It was time for us to crib one and take a 7-point lead to end the first quarter.
Just nowhere to run, not a lot of wiggle room for the ball carrier.
This defense came in knowing that they had to match their physicality. Let's see if they can keep it up.
Touchdown, Thundering Herd!
Tech would answer back. It's really hard to get stops in this high difficulty, but right before the half, I threw a strike over top, another deep touchdown. Brown is having himself a game. On the ensuing kickoff, we got a hit stick fumble and converted a field goal to take a 10-point lead. It was 24-14 all the way to the fourth, where I would get this huge user lurk underneath, keeping my 10-point lead and getting the ball back when our backs were against the wall. Virginia Tech would find a way to answer once again, but we ended up sneaking away with a 3-point lead on the road, starting our season 2-0. I didn't expect to start 2-0 with a 76 overall team, but it gave me a lot of hope to be able to build this roster up and start winning even more big games, like this next one. Going into Game 3, we were gearing up to play against the #1 team in the nation in the 3rd hardest stadium to play in college football 25. This was going to be a challenge like no other, but man, was I excited. Here we are, getting the work from the jump on Heisman difficulty. My team cannot and will not make a tackle under any circumstance. I'm not even going to blame them though, because my defense is a bunch of 75 overalls. After all, I am trying to rebuild this team. Jumping ahead to right before the end of the second half, I was able to put together a nice 2-minute drill drive and convert, making the score 7-7. I assumed we were going to be tied at half, but man was I mistaken. Somehow, someway, they get down to the 18-yard line with 8 seconds to go in the half, and of course I allow a dot in the middle, putting myself down 7 going into the half. I'm going to give you guys a little visual representation of what my halftime speech looked like to this squad, because man, we came out ready to ball.
And I run it. And I run it. And I run it.
The pick six would tie the game at 14 in the second half. There was no better feeling than being tied with the #1 team in the nation and a real shot to win this game. Speaking of shot to win the game, we ended up losing. By a lot. Pretty quickly. After almost pulling off the biggest upset of my very young coaching career, I decided it was time to go back and look at my recruits. It turns out I'm pretty damn bad at recruiting and am just getting the hang of things. So I'm really going to be relying on this second season of recruiting to make up for my mistakes of the first. Let me know in the comments if you guys want to see me start simming these games and I can complete a full season every episode while showing you guys who I'm recruiting and what for. If we do take this route, I'll definitely be playing the big games and the playoff games leading up to the championship. I really want this series to go the way you guys want it to, whether that be either of the options I gave you, be it gameplay or recruiting based. So just let me know and we'll take it from there. I'll see you guys in the next episode. To close out this video, I want to show my first and only verbal commitment, Mike Cox. Thank you, Mike. You're a legend.